Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel, and today we're gonna finally be scaping my 55-gallon aquarium. So this is certainly gonna be the most ambitious and complicated scape I've ever done. I'm gonna try and turn this 4-foot long 55-gallon aquarium into something resembling this sketch right here. Lots of stalactites, stalagmites, cave style look. And I think it's something that would be really cool that I've never seen on YouTube before. I don't think anyone's really ever done, especially not even close to this scale on a 4-foot canvas. And I'm really excited to get going with it. It's going to take a lot of super glue and a lot of silicone, but I think I can do it. I planned it out in my mind. This is going to take a lot of time. It's a very ambitious, complicated scape, but I think I'm ready to take it on. The first step in this process was to buy my hardscape, and I definitely had to go with lava rock because it's super lightweight and it will lend itself well to this kind of scape. And I decided to go with black lava rock just because I think it looks a lot better than any of the other lava rock types. And I bought a ton of it in bulk for I think something like $20 at a landscaping yard, so it was a win-win for me. Once I had all the rocks cleaned off and dried, it was time to start making some of the stalactites and stalagmites. So I started by creating a bit of a donut shape to form the base, and then used aquarium safe silicone. This is GE silicone 1 to silicone the rocks together. One of the really tricky parts about this is that you can't just glue the rocks together, they have to be able to friction fit. So it's sort of like playing a big game of Jenga right here, making sure that each rock supports its own weight and holds the other rocks in place while still looking natural, which is a lot harder than it looks. Once I had the basic structure of a stalactite or stalagmite completed, I started thinking about what the tip would look like. This is certainly the most important part of this whole build process, and I made sure to go through a couple different iterations before I found one that I liked. Because of the fact that I'm making 11 or 12 of these structures for the entire tank, I decided not to show you guys making every single one of them because it's pretty repetitive and time consuming. So I just decided to show you building this one. After the silicone and glue dried and I had my basic structure laid out, I have to address the issue with the fact that this just looks like a bunch of rocks stacked and glued together, and it really doesn't look anything like a seamless single piece of rock that would make up a stalactite or stalagmite. So to fix this issue, I took a Ziploc bag full of smaller lava rock and crushed it up with a hammer and then collected the dust. As you can see here, I apply the super glue or silicone to a gap or a crack that I wanted to cover, and then sprinkled the finely powdered black lava rock over it. After this dries, it creates a really seamless look and creates the illusion that this is all one piece of rock. Building these structures was certainly the most complicated and adventurous aquascaping project I've ever taken on. Each structure probably took me at least an hour of hands-on work plus another 12 hours of drying time, and I probably made 4 or 5 a day, so this took multiple days to create all 11, but I'm certainly really happy with the results. After they were properly dried, I gave the structures a good rinse under some clean water, and they were done. I added pieces of foam to the bottom of the tank to create variation in height of the structures. It was quite surprising to me that although I was using completely different rocks for each build, all of the stalactites and stalagmites sort of turned out the same unless I worked hard to make sure they looked different. So I used these pieces of foam to make sure that there was extra variation in height. I fiddled around with how these stalagmites were orientated in the tank for quite a while, probably a couple hours, and it was surprisingly hard at how difficult it is to make even pre-built pieces like this look aesthetically pleasing and congruent in a tank. After the initial hardscape was done, I used some masking tape to lay out the guidelines for the hanging stalactites. I then very liberally applied silicone to the base of the lightest stalactites that I had made, and then firmly pressed them into the pane of glass. Looking back on this, I probably should have used black silicone because that would have been a lot easier to hide. In case anybody is following along with this, I'd recommend using black silicone, but I doubt anyone is. I also siliconed some smaller rocks in place to help with scale. Once the silicone had completely cured and I had let it sit hanging in a similar fashion that it would in the tank just as a test for a couple days, I added some masking tape over places that I wanted light to shine through before I painted it, and I made sure that I did this just to give some nice mysterious little effects when light shines through these gaps. I also added a few small rocks on the other pane of glass just to sort of complete the look and continuity throughout the tank. But of course I dropped this piece of glass and it completely shattered, so we will not be using this design in the finished scape. Luckily the main pane of glass containing the stalactites was fine, so we could move on with the project. I added lava rock pebbles to help build substrate height. Now it was time for substrate, and in order to save a little extra money on this build, I went for black diamond blasting sand. This is the medium grain size, and you can get this stuff at Tractor Supply Co. I think that's the only place you can get it. And I got two 50-pound bags for $20 altogether, and I really only needed one, but I guess I've got another bag laying around now. And this stuff really needs thorough rinsing, and I definitely recommend you do your own research on it before purchasing. But because I don't use black sand very often, I figured I would try something new and inexpensive in case I didn't end up liking it and I didn't spend $50 on a ton of black sand that I probably wouldn't be using. But I was actually quite happy with this. After I washed it thoroughly, the whole look is actually pretty nice. I added smaller rocks, especially in the background, to make it look like the tank was deeper than it was and to provide more detail. Alright, turn on the water. Finally, here it is done. It's been filled with water for about 2 days. As you can see, there's still some bubbles and things that are collected on the rocks that are sort of tarnishing the final look, but I'm really happy with it. Even as a no plants layout, which I've never actually really done before, besides like the fake plants that I did back in the day. And I think it's kind of a refreshing change to, I mean, don't get me wrong, I love all my planted tanks, but it's like nothing else that I have in the fish room or that I've really seen ever before. And I think it's just such a nice variation off of the norm. And I think that this will be a really cool thing for people to see and maybe try out by themselves. It was a very tricky scape to do with all the hardscape, and it took me the longest time I've ever worked on a scape and all that stuff, but I'm really happy with the results, and I hope you guys are too. Of course, I'd love to know you guys' feedback in the comments, what you think of this scape. And I don't know if I'm going to leave it completely hardscape only. My original plan was to do some boosts and maybe some Anubias in the rocks and stuff like that, but now that I think about it, I don't know if I'll do it. Maybe I'll do some moss, but then the moss might take over and it wouldn't retain this look. I kind of like how it is right now. Maybe I'll add some boost Phalandra or Anubias later down the line, but I gotta make sure it's really small to keep that sense of scale. But I don't know, should I add plants? Let me know in the comments. But as for now, I'm really happy with it. A lot of you guys may be able to guess what fish I'm going to do in here, because I sort of designed this scape to be able to do these fish, because I really wanted to do something different with this tank, and I'm going to do a group of fish that most people, like, I've never seen this many of this same fish that are going to be going in this tank, and they're really not a very commonplace fish that you see on YouTube very often, especially not showcased in large numbers in a big tank in a scape that looks like this. So if you guys can guess what fish I'm going to do, put it in the comments, but I think the scape will give you guys an idea. I'm really excited. Slowly at the fish store, they're bringing in a bunch for me, because I'm going to have like 30 or 40 of them in here. Probably just because it's got massive filtration, lots of biological media here, because literally every single one of these stalactites, stalagmites is literally lava rock, which is I use that as my biological filter media. So pretty much everything in this tank is biological media, and then I've got a giant canister filter running this thing full of media, so this is going to be able to handle a lot of fish. Of course, I'm not going to go crazy with it, but I'm going to be able to do quite a few in here, and it's going to be a really cool tank. I think I'm just going to do that one type of fish. Maybe I'll do some like Corydoras on the bottom, like albino cories, something like that. That might be cool, but I don't know. We'll see. Again, let me know what you guys think. Before I finish this video, I do want to do sort of a cost breakdown. I know I don't usually do this, but I figured I'd mention it just because this is such a big tank, and I don't usually do something like this, so it'll be fun to see what I spent on this over the months that I've been saving up and buying and accumulating the parts for it, and also if you wanted to do this setup right here, what it would cost you. So the light is a cheap LED shop light I got for $20. All the rocks together I got for $22 from a landscaping yard. The sand I got for $11. Just one 50-pound bag was plenty for this. And that completes the hardscape and everything. The tank was, I think, $85. I got it on the $1 per gallon sale, or the half off sale at Petco. The piece of glass that I used right there was a little more expensive because it was a 1/4 inch thick. I think that was something like $20, $25. I think I'm gonna say just meet in the middle, about $22. The canister filter I got off Craigslist used for $45. If you were gonna buy the same one, I think it's something like $140, something like that. But I got a really good deal on a practically new filter, which came with all the other stuff. As for the light up background sort of thing that I'm doing here, I showed you guys the video on how to do this, but the LEDs in the back are $6. This film right here I think was $18, so we're gonna throw that at like $24 or $25, something like that, not including taxes. And I'd say that's just about all. I can't actually think of anything else that I am using for this tank. So let me calculate how much that all cost, and we'll see what the final cost of this tank was. Alright, so all in all, I spent around $230 even on this tank, which really isn't that bad when you think about it. 4-foot tank, big hardscape, all that stuff. Of course, it would really jump if I was putting plants and stuff in here, and this isn't including a lot of the taxes, so it's probably more like $250 or $245, something like that. But it's still actually not that bad, and pretty accessible to a lot of people. I mean, if I can afford it, just doing odd jobs for a couple months, I'm sure a lot of people could do something like this too. Anyways, that just about wraps it up for this very special episode today. I hope you guys enjoyed the 55-gallon scape, and I hope you guys like it. I mean, I certainly do, so I mean, I guess that's what matters most. But let me know if you guys are a fan of this no plant scape. What fish would you put in here? What fish do you think I'm gonna put in here? And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.